What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Get your libations. Get your libations. Get whatever you need for the evening. For the evening, we're not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you too long, but we got a few things we gotta talk about. But please, 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 make sure you have your libation in hand, whatever that may be. Get yourself situated. There's been a lot of confusion. A lot of people saying stuff that don't make a whole lot of sense. A lot of people doing stuff that's not good for the collective. And obviously, ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it. But anyway, before we get into all of that, family, please hit the like button. Please share. Do all of that stuff. If you want to donate, you always know what to do. Go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, or $breakingbrown. All of that stuff. But you can hit that like. You can hit that bell. You can do all of that stuff. And it costs you absolutely nothing to subscribe. Ooh, just hit the subscribe button. Wonderful. And it costs you absolutely nothing. So, fam, please do that. Please do that. Let me get this right. Get everything set up before we get going. But please do that. That's the easy way. Free, absolutely free way to support the channel, right? So I would hope you would do that. We got some things to talk about because, fam, there's been a lot of shenanigans going on. Now let me just point out something. See, people have been asking me lately, Yvette, what do we do? Like, even if, we have to do politics, yes, okay. But what else should we do? That's kind of a question that has been posed to me. Like, what else do we do? What else, how else do we move? What, is there anything else we can do? We know we don't have wealth, but what else is within our control? Something must be within our control, right? Well, yeah. And we're kind of failing at that too. So I saw this, right? Because apparently people go on Vlad. And, you all know there have been even a case of one YouTuber, one black YouTuber jumping out from behind a potted plant to attack another YouTuber. It's just all kind of mischief that's been going on Vlad. And they've been interviewing people too. Basically saying things that would get people to maybe kind of incriminate themselves. This Vlad character has been doing. This is not an ADOS person or a black person or anybody like that, but he's been doing this and he's been doing it for a long time. Now, there are a lot, somebody put this up earlier today, there are a lot of actors in this place who are not concerned with any kind of redress. They're just concerned with, it seems, taking whatever they can get from a culture that has been built by us, not them, but they're very interested and they're very representative of that and very invested in that. My question though, family, and you all can let me know if I am wrong. When you ask me what we can do in terms of things like this, you can't complain about something like this because y'all keep showing up. You keep showing up for the interview. Why? You keep showing up to talk to you. Listen, you can't build a multi-million-dollar. We're not asking you to compete with Jeff Bezos. We know we don't have the wealth to do that. But you mean to tell me you can't create a YouTuber who can interview all of y'all? You can't do that? You can't recreate. He don't even have no creativity. Don't have no good questions. You can't recreate that. You can't recreate your own like YouTube star to have some equipment and interview you. Y'all are black celebrities and can't create a celebrity journalist. These are things that are within our power. We can, when you control certain things, you can replace certain people in certain positions. Now, you can't create NBC or ABC, but my goodness, you can't have another YouTube channel where artists can go to talk. But the feds don't just know to go immediately. And I'm not talking about the right and the wrongness of what anybody did. I'm not talking about that. That is not my conversation. That is not the conversation that I'm intending to have. Now, I want to just express to everybody, just like the picture we just saw, this is not just a one-person kind of conversation. Right? So y'all saw Ebro jump out and say some stuff. If you ate public school lunch, Chinese food wings for $2, explain how you are worried about the vaccine. Now, let me tell you how people play games. People play a lot of games. Ebro is the best at playing games. If you say, hey, that's racist, he gonna say, I was just teasing. I was just joshing. I was just kidding around with you. I ain't mean no harm. Shucky, jive, jive. He's gonna say that. That's what he's gonna say. He's gonna say, oh, I absolutely didn't mean nothing about it. I wasn't trying to say nothing about it. You know how I joke and troll. The problem with our community, though, family, he's gonna say, I have a Black Panther father, and my daddy was arrested for beating up somebody. He's gonna say all of that so he can take your eyes off the fact that he's trolling you the same way Rush Limbaugh does, the same way Sean Hannity does. That's what he's gonna do, and that's what he has been doing. And if you want to talk about something, you have to talk about how we don't control stuff that we can't control. You don't gotta go there. That station dies without black celebrities showing up to have a conversation. See, the thing that we don't like to do, and we're gonna have to figure out how to do it, we don't like drawing boundaries and saying, no, you crossed the line. You've gone too far. We're not doing this, and this is a line that we don't come back from. We don't know, cancel culture is real crazy and wild and all kinds of stuff, but there are certain occasions where people should be finished. Because with this, you're kind of making fun of mocking poverty. The kind of poverty that ADOS had to deal with for generations, you're kind of mocking it. And you got worse as you went. Right? So you got worse as you went. And I hate people who retweet and comment a lot instead of just being in the thread of people, because it's kind of a bullying technique. I don't know if people really realize that. But look at it. Look at what he says at the top of this tweet. If you just want to understand where we coming from and what has to happen. Nah, we good. We stopped dying from bad food. We stopped dying from bad food, poison, and trauma. We'll wait. Y'all still eating hot dogs out the gas station. And he was talking to somebody who said, make a shout out, ADOS, who said, you go first then. If you're promoting it, go first and let us know how it turns out. Nah, we good. Y'all still eating this. Everybody got to understand what this is. And I don't think we understand what this is. So we don't even know. You ever be somewhere and you don't know what you're looking at? You ever see an animal and you can't really tell whether it's a dog or a raccoon? And you kind of have to twist your head and back up, and I don't know what that is. Is this a really ugly cat? Or what is that, Mary? What is that? I don't know. Should we run or spray it or pet it? I don't think I want to. You ever see somewhere you don't know what it is? This is one of those occasions. So what Ebro is doing ever so slickly is that he's using the same talking points of a Rush Limbaugh or a Sean Hannity. That's what he's doing. He's all in there using them talking points. If y'all ate government cheese, or if y'all drank the water at the school, or if y'all ate the $2, and then he comes back, we all ate it. I wasn't talking about you. What you thought I was talking about you? I wasn't talking about you. I didn't mean no harm. I wasn't talking about you. Of course I wasn't talking about you. King, queen. Yes, you were. And you enjoyed doing this little stuff. You absolutely were. And you weren't even talking about a person. You were talking about a condition. And the condition you were talking about is poverty. That's the thing that has you say, okay, what can I afford in this QT? Boiled eggs? Because the boiled eggs is the cheapest thing in the gas station. Ask me how I know. So everybody has, if you have been to a level of that and dealt with some of that stuff, you know what it is. You know what he's doing. You're making fun of a condition. That is the condition of ADOS that has tethered us to the bottom. And that's what you're making fun of. And you're making fun of this stuff. You speak I hate people that speak with forked tongues. You're speaking with a forked tongue so that you covered yourself on all bases. All bases is covered. I said nice things of black people here, and then I kind of clowned them here. I got everything covered. Nobody can say I'm nothing. Yeah, that's right. We can't say you nothing. We can't say you are anything. And we let people cross these boundaries in the name of it was just a joke. That's what you do. So this guy will say this, and then a while ago he was saying this, right? Coronavirus is racist because America is racist. The hardest hit areas will be black because of racism. Racism causes lack of health care and resources. We need to know the race of people contracting and dying from COVID. See, this is how I know you're a liar. This is how I know who you are. Because a person who understands racism with a Black Panther daddy don't make this kind of joke. They don't make this kind of joke about eating hot dogs and different things. You don't make that kind of joke if you understand the circumstance that puts somebody inside the QT to eat that hot dog. And if you don't understand that, if you don't get that, then you can't tell me, listen, don't talk about what COVID got to do and what we got to do and what Trump had to do or what Biden had to do if you're going to make a racist joke about eating the hot dogs. Because ask yourself something and just ask yourself this question, right? If a white person, if Sean Hannity had said this, y'all been eating these boiled hot dogs, and that's why if you ate that, you ought to take the vaccine. What would you say? Now, I agree that sometimes it makes a difference who says what, because that determines certain things, right? But not in this instance. This is so overtly racist. And this is from the person who called out Joe Rogan for making a racist joke, talking about Planet of the Apes when he got out of a car. You call him out for that, right? And rightfully so. You called him out for it. Old joke. You just made a racist joke. See, we just let people be contradictory in ways that make no sense. In ways that don't benefit us. There have to be, if you want your group, right? In terms of us, particularly in terms of ADOS, if you want us to be respected, you have to have boundaries that people can't cross. Not in being in good stead with you. You can't be in good with me saying some of the stuff you say and doing some of the stuff that you do. First you say, oh my God, you shouldn't tell racist jokes, but you do. Well, he's a white man, it's different. Nah, because I know who you are. I know, Ebro, you also were the one who called us bots. And you didn't know nothing. Dumb as a sack of rocks. But you called us bots. Oh, they bots. So you were one of the ones who were neutralizing really the only movement for ADOS and black people in America. That's what you were doing. You were neutralizing a movement. So I know you're not down for the people. I know you just listen to what people tell you and you don't really know what's going on and you don't really care. That's just who you are. That's just who you are. You don't care. You're going to say, you know, the problem with a lot of black celebrities is that they say whatever they need to say depending on whatever room they're in. You got to have a boundary. You got to have a line of demarcation. And in terms of food, Ebro, while you're making all these jokes, please understand that blacks are more likely to be vegan. See, you traffic in racist tropes. And those racist tropes are not good. I don't care whether you're joking. If you're joking, stop anyway, because you ain't never been funny. You have to have a line that people don't cross. If you don't have a line that people don't cross, guess what? They cross it all the time. Your little imaginary line that you drew in the sand with dashes in between it, they're going to cross it. There has to be a line. And there is no line. You all just let ADOS people especially just hit the reset button. Well, you know, I didn't like him last week, but he had a good interview and I just wanted to tune in and hear it. I sure did. Well, you're never going to get nobody to replace him because I just want to tune in and hear what he got to say. The person who has been dismembering and being a voice in dismantling the movement that we stand for, you just want to tune in and I want to hear him. I ain't never heard Ebro put on a good interview. What you want to hear? What you listening for? See, sometimes you just have to understand when stuff don't make no sense. And like when it doesn't make sense for you, there's a lot of stuff that could make sense for other people, but it don't make sense for you. And it don't make sense for us. See how you play these games? Oh, who, what you talking about? Where you was? Who suggested that? Everyone ate public school food. What you mean? It was bomb. Oh, I ate $2 chicken too. What you talking about? You must have misread me. No. I was just, just saying some stuff. If y'all don't start catching on to these people, when they say this madness, if you don't stop catching on to these people, because, here's the truth of the matter. If Ebro was taking seriously black people, he would understand why black people are apprehensive. First of all, I know a lot of black people because of wealth don't have a doctor, a regular physician, right? So you're not even accustomed to that. And then we've been experimenting on. But if you want to use race as content, because we know you don't get a lot of retweets, Ebro, because the stuff it ain't worth nothing. Your timeline is trash. So we know you don't get a lot of retweets. So even on your timeline, you're using it the same way Vlad uses his show, right? He just come in there and throw a stupid question out. Well, what are you? Did you deal drugs in high school? I heard you got into a fight. Get into a fight? With who? You got into a fight with a white man? Was it a racial fight? That's using race as content. That's the same thing Ebro does. You use race as content to get your retweets up. That's not collective uplift. Just because somebody speaks to you about race on a show or says something to you about race on a show, that's not collective uplift. And if we want to get our politics up, we have to understand when certain content is not only trolling us, but it neutralizes us as a group. And it traffics in tropes that perpetuate racism against us and racist ideas of who we are. We have to understand that because, again, we either rise together or we fall together. And some people are going to have to fall by themselves. And these are some, Ebro's one of them. You got to, listen, you've been a problem for a long time. And people want to run up there and talk to you, so they don't want to really talk about who you are and what you do. Now, we're going to get into some other stuff too, because it's a lot going on. But just look at what he says. So after basically saying everybody should take it and who are you to question me, he says everybody should question everything. And in that spirit, I question why you would take a public school food and $2 wings as a comparison to a vaccine. You should probably drink more water. You got to let some people go, fam. You know, you just got to, somebody will replace this person. You got to let them go. Somebody been in the same spot for how long he been there? He just basic as everything. Y'all don't, like, how do we not value like good content creators who don't use race as like this weird little trope? And he did something with somebody in an interview one time. I don't remember what it was, but come on. These are things we can control. Then he goes into, yeah, I was just joking. Right? Come on. And a lot of people on Twitter caught it. Imagine comparing years of disparate medical treatment of black people to food, to gaslight and belittle people into taking a vaccine that's not even released. Yeah, you have to understand what has happened to us. If you really want to understand the apprehension, you have to understand that. But understand somebody is different from mocking them, which made me think about something, family. I saw a story a few weeks ago and I said, no, it was like 3 months ago now, I think. And I said, I haven't heard a lot. I heard a lot about it, people on the radio and who listened to that little Ebro junk. And I said, well, they talking about it, but nobody else really talked about how the Hot 97 show had a racist working for them who was not just a racist, a person who was in a mob that killed a black man and he worked there for years. That would never, you know, who could never get away with that? With working somewhere for years, having a good job, making whatever he was making, commercials or whatever. You know who couldn't do that? A black man. You see how we just look at that. Yusef Hawkins killing he was involved in. Now come on, people didn't. How come y'all didn't talk about it? Like I just wanted to see. Sometimes just let stuff sit and see, is this thing gonna catch? Let me just see if it's gonna catch. Because if it don't catch, it gonna need to catch, and I don't know why it wouldn't catch. So let's just discuss what happened in this particular incident. Hot 97 fires rap radio veteran for ties to Yusef Hawkins killing. That's Yusef. So let's go to the article really quickly. Patty Duke, fam. Patty Duke. Ooh, you can be involved and you can, how when Patty Duke get hired there? Like 20 years ago and still been there. You gotta know it. To those at Hot 97, the beloved and influential beloved by who? Anyway, I'm sorry. To those at Hot 97, the beloved and influential hip hop radio station in New York, the man known as Patty Duke was an upbeat and positive presence, working largely behind the scenes, but earning frequent on-air shout-outs for more than 25 years. It was only in recent days veterans of the station said that they learned about a disturbing chapter in their co-workers' past. Duke, it turned out, was really Pascal Rauchi, who as a teenager was one of the 8 young men charged in the 1989 killing of Yusef K. Hawkins, a black 16-year-old in Brooklyn. Hawkins had traveled one summer night to the Bensonhurst neighborhood to look at a used car with 3 friends, only to encounter a bat-wielding mob of 30-some white youths, one of whom shot him dead. Wild alley cats. I added that myself. Hawkins' murder, which along with the Central Park jogger case, came to represent a brutal period of racism and violence in the city, is now the subject of a new HBO, well, that was a while ago, but a documentary, Yusef Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn, which led to the revelation. When people saw it, they was like, what in the world, said Ebro Darden, the face of Hot 97, on his morning show on Monday. At that moment, behind the scenes, corporate started to go to work to figure out who knew what when Patty Duke was hired and what was going on, what was going to be the response, because this wasn't just going to be allowed to fly. Let me just say something before I even go on. lies on top of lies. Because if you go to the video of Ebro talking about this, he says, Patty Duke told me a long time ago that he was that he what happened and that he was a part of that. And he says the man just told me he got caught up in it and he wasn't really in it. That's what he told me. That's what Patty Duke told Ebro. He admitted that much. Y'all let people admit to all kind of stuff and walk off like ain't nothing happened. And he said, well, what? Ebro said, well, what would you expect me to do? Cause Patty Duke got hired before Ebro. Just tell him I don't believe him? Yes. If you actually do have a Black Panther daddy, like you say, and if you actually are down with black people like you say, you absolutely say, I don't believe you, and you walk off. The least you could do was tell on him. You didn't do none of that. Understand who this man is. See, one of our problems is we can't see people for who they are. That's who you are. You worked alongside a man you knew was involved in white mob violence for years. What do you think that makes you? You gonna run around making fun of black people about QT or gas station hot dogs, and who are you? And you worked with a man who was complicit and I think he was young or whatever, record expunged, only got charged with a misdemeanor, but he was outside, wasn't he? He was with that little crowd, wasn't he? He was whatever, wasn't he? He was complicit, wasn't he? Why don't you forget about hot dogs for a little while, Ebro, and talk about how you don't have a moral compass or any kind of moral standard, and that's too much for y'all over there. All of y'all, too many of these celebrities, y'all don't have no kind of moral core. You talk moralism. We're going to get to Jada Pinkett Smith talking about, I just had it on because I just don't want to be the same thing the white women have been to me. Shut up. This is the wrong kind of moralizing. You knew what it was. But you said, you know what? I want this job. I want this gig. I want to be the face of this radio station. Somebody said he hit he fired it? Oh, listen. You work beside that man, Ebro, and ain't nobody want to call you to account. You know why don't nobody call you to account? Because most of the people who are reporting on this are celebrities and who want access to you. I couldn't give a doggone whether I ever see you in this life or the next. Understand, if you work beside somebody, don't tell me about your Black Panther daddy or nothing like that. If you working beside somebody who was a part of a mob that killed a black man, I don't want to care about that. You're not your daddy's son. If he did that, I don't even believe half the stuff people tell me about their parents no more. They make up all kind of wild stuff. Yeah, he was do. I don't believe none of that stuff no more. I don't believe none of the stuff people tell me no more. Well, yeah, Yvette, he was, Yvette, yeah, I know he was. Hush, you don't know what you think you know. Rauchi, now 50, was quickly fired after watching HBO's Storm Over Brooklyn. Hot 97 was shocked and terminated its relationship with Patty Duke. The station said in a statement, nothing is more important to Hot 97 than our role as a trusted community resource. The march for social justice continues. You can't tell me if Ebro knew that everybody in that radio station didn't know. You can't tell me that. Everybody got to stop lying to me. You can lie to somebody else, but don't lie to me. If he told Ebro, he told everybody, and y'all just did not care. You didn't give a flying fig. You didn't care. That's fine. But you can't work for me. Like you can't work for me or my community if you don't care. Right? That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do that. Can we not do that? If you were involved in mob violence and you knew this man was involved in that, what we going to do? We can't ever work together. I don't even want to lay eyes on you no more. Not at all. Ain't that Patty Duke? What he holding, child? Ooh. Little miniature man, ain't he? I mean, I'm talking about just he's skinny. I ain't never seen he's skinny. He's real skinny. I didn't know he was so skinny. Is he short? I don't know what's going on. But he was. Listen, you can't be with me and not all that kind of stuff. Let me go to the next quote really quick. The company, which is owned by Image Communications and MediaCo Holding Inc., sent an email to staffers that said no one was aware of this situation until the airing of the HBO documentary. How many of y'all believe that? And noted the immediate adverse business impact and the damage to our reputation. The memo continued. Now more than ever, we serve as both a source of desperately needed information and entertainment, and any conflict in that relationship harms both our stations and the communities we serve. You don't serve any community, you serve capital. Stop. Still, many listeners, along with employees, past and present, were left feeling betrayed and confused by the news, which came amid a summer of national uproar regarding unjust killings of Black people and the struggle over how best to move forward. On social media, many in the Hot 97 orbit expressed dismay and disbelief, though some said they had learned years ago about Rauchi's role in the case. This is so sickening and sad, wrote Ed Lover. I, a defining personality on the station in the mid-90s. I want everybody to hush. He told me he got swept up. This is your boy. He told me he got swept up in the Yusef Hawkins situations. He also told me he had nothing to do with it, Darden said. This is your boy. This Ebro, which a conversation he said occurred 10 years ago. What am I going to say? I'm working with you. I'm to a guy I'm working with. I don't believe you. On the morning show, Darden and his co-hosts Laura Stiles and Peter Rosenberg said that neither of them are ADOS, by the way. So they're having a whole conversation about ADOS and Black culture and killings and murder of Black people, and none of them know nothing about what they're talking about, except for Ebro, who just puts his stake in his claim, but he don't show it in his life or how he live or nothing like that. Remember, we had a whole conversation yesterday, but anyway. On the morning show, Darden and his co-hosts Laura Stiles and Peter Rosenberg said that Rauchi had predated them at the station, having been there for more than 25 years, most recently in the production department, recording and editing commercials. They said they had been unaware of Rauchi's real name, though Darden said he discussed the killing once with Rauchi. Let me tell you something. If he discussed it, let me bring this off the screen for just a second. Let me help everybody understand something. If Ebro discussed it, everybody knew it. That's a chatty patty man. Even if I think everybody knew it anyway. Allegedly. Can't prove that. But if he discussed it with Ebro, you think Ebro kept that a secret? Everybody knew it. Everybody worked with him. You think these people are in these offices caring about you and me and what happens to us? No. I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. No. It's a Kamala Harris thing. You think he's up there? You work with that man all the while. Listen. You could have dropped a dime on him to some reporter. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. You could have dropped an anonymous dime. You did nothing. You did nothing. And what gets me is not even the fact just that Ebro did nothing. It's the fact that this happened months ago. And the Black community, the ADOS community, nobody did anything to say, listen, you don't get to represent us no more. You don't get to go around talking about your papa or talking about you don't get to go around and do you served with this man. You knew what he was. You didn't let nobody know. You kept working with him and shouting him out on your show like everything was okay. You do not serve the community. You, sir, are a culture vulture. I don't care who your parents were or whatever. Don't matter. That's who you are, because you have internalized racist tropes that you throw out, and then when somebody throws it back at you, you say, ooh, you try to dodge. Whoop, whoop. Oh, no. I was a joke. Oh, no, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, I ate sausage too. I ate bacon egg too. I ate school lunch too. I drank school water too. No. How y'all let this man out slick y'all for this long? I don't understand it. What happened? What happened? When it happened? Where it happened? I don't understand. It don't make no sense to me. Now let me see. This is what I mean about using content. Using race for your particular content, as opposed to uplift. We have some people and we say they're for the culture. They are not. You saw Vlad is allegedly for the police. You see, Ebro is just for however the situation best serves him. Y'all let that man talk for 8 minutes about the stuff and it was good. And don't tell me, no, if it wasn't good. It was good and you would have done something about it. You hush. If you didn't do nothing about it, it was good. If people still show up to the show all the time, it was good. If nobody said, hey, I'm not interviewing with him no more, get somebody else, it was good. Y'all let them get rid of Patty Duke and that was the end of it. That's not good. And y'all let him get away with saying just, you rest on your laurels. In my home, my dad was very into Africa. He said his Black Panther father went to teach in schools and hustle in the streets, but he didn't live a double life. Before this, Ebro's father attended San Francisco State University, studying radio and television on a football scholarship. Ebro said his family told a story of how his father caught an assault charge after beating up a white coach and who had yelled racial epithet during the game. That's fine, but who are you? And people always leave out both parents. Talk about both parents, and it's not good, bad, or ugly. It's just like talk about your father and talk about your white Jewish mother. I mean, talk about the whole thing. Don't just talk about one thing. Everybody want to play games. This is not a game. People's lives are involved in terms of how media is done and how media is covered and how we're spoken about and how we're joked about. All of that is important. This is not a game. And this is not black media, and this is not ADOS media. I don't know what this is. But it's not saying that we couldn't, oh gosh. It's not even saying that we couldn't have allies in media in terms of them whoever that is. What I'm saying though, when people have proven to you that they're not an ally in anything that you're doing, what are we doing? If we can't draw boundaries, if people can just say anything and use it for content, what are we doing? Race is not just good content. Race is supposed to be. Race is supposed to be like how we use it and how we weaponize it is to talk about our lineage, right? Other people have a lived experience. We have a lineage. And to bring that to the forefront. How do you use your microphone is important. Look at the mom can't forgive killers of Yusef Hawkins, whose death 25 years, this was in 2014, sparked marches. She was still living with this and not able to get past it. While the mother of Yusef Hawkins was living with this, Ebro was working with one of the people who were involved in the murder, and nobody cares. It don't matter to nobody. Apparently. Everybody's kind of, well, he was in there and he was hired beforehand. No. Don't play that game with me. You knew who he was. And this is what she said about the murderers of her son. I can't forgive anybody, she said. I can't do it. And I understand. When Hawkins goes to sleep at night, she said she still finds herself wrestling with a series of heart-wrenching questions. I ask myself, why? Why did this guy have to do this? For what? She said. My son didn't bother anyone. My son didn't bother anyone. How does this mother get to live a life of pain and hardship and somebody who was involved in the killing of her son gets to go and be kind of a culture vulture, a culture vulture in hip hop, and nobody cares, and there are no repercussions in terms of he can't work here. There are no repercussions in terms of even when you got powerful, Ebro, and you could have got rid of him. You ain't do nothing. You didn't do anything. How y'all give that a pass? Because what you give a pass determines how you draw boundaries. If you give everything a pass, you're drawing awful boundaries and you are inviting people to abuse you. Don't want to get abused? Or don't want to get stepped on, draw boundaries. And when somebody tries to come across your boundaries, say, excuse me, but this is where we park. Sorry, you can't come and pass go. I watched this and I saw it. And I saw that nobody held anybody accountable. There has to be accountability, because even in terms of what we talked about in terms of Democratic down ballot, right? The accountability was, we're not going to vote for the top of the ticket. So the top of the ticket has to lose in order to understand to take us seriously. We don't want to make nobody lose. We just want to get along with everybody. We don't care. They still going to talk to Vlad. They're going to Vlad to tell Vlad that he's 5-0. Wait a minute. You gonna tell him he's 12? That's 12. You 12. Vlad, you gonna go in there to explain that to him? How come you just can't leave him alone? Are we that desperate for attention that we can't build our own YouTube channel? You can't build our own celebrity is the easiest thing to promote. Unfortunately, on YouTube, you can't build that. What can you build if you can't build up somebody to replace Vlad? What are y'all doing? Don't talk to me about the power of celebrity if y'all can't replace Vlad, or if y'all still show up for interviews. That's weakness. You weak. You that desperate to, what are you doing? A comedy tour or a show or a song that you just gotta, what is going on? I don't understand. Weak people ain't never made sense to me. So I don't know, but this is not the only area. Let me get to my last thing, because I'm not even gonna get to Jamel Hill, because she did the same thing. Well, was it racist that he punched you? You just want to use race as content. Better use race as uplift, because what happens, these people ain't really got no content. That's all they can use. They don't have nothing to talk about. You don't want to really read nothing, to get to know nothing, to figure nothing out. You just gonna come on there and ask stupid questions, and then you ain't funny. So if you ain't funny and you don't have any comedic time and nothing like that, just sit your butt down. You ain't got to be standing up all the time wandering around. And then I think, what you thought, what you think about it? That ain't funny. You ain't never been funny. Never been funny, never been engaging. So figure it out. Like, make yourself better. Get better at what you do. Don't just try to use this stuff because you don't got nothing else to do. And let me just say, shout out to Jada Pinkett Smith's mama. Let me just say that. Shout out to your mama. Your mama knows a whole lot more than you do, Jada. She knows a whole lot more than you do to have your platform be used the way that it was used for, like we said. What did we just say? It's used in a way that does what, family? It's used in a way that uses race as content slightly. But in this case, it's even a little bit different, fam. It's even a little bit different. Let me tell you how. Lord, you know, this is troublesome. Because Jada Pinkett Smith got enough money to where she don't have to she don't have to do nothing like this. So y'all know, I know y'all know the story. 5 takeaways from Olivia Jade's interview about the college admission scandal. You all know she was part of that thing, and the parents done paid a bunch of money and a bunch of stuff to get her in school. Right? Y'all know that, right? So, let me just say this. Listen, black women, please understand something. We are not the doorway to white women's forgiveness. I don't care how young the girl was, who Mama Lori from Full House or whatever. I don't care how young she was. That's not your job. And there's nothing courageous or powerful about being the doorway to her, because you all know we have had black women go to jail for sending their kids to school in other districts. Right? Trying to do the best thing for their kids. We have had our own go to jail for that. It is not up to you to have a show. Have you had a show, Jada, to talk about? Y'all let me know. Have you had a show to talk about them black women who've gone to jail for sending their kid to school in other districts? Have you had a show about that? But you're on here emphasizing with this white woman. Oh, yes. Oh, you understood it, didn't you? White supremacy. Jada got a way of making it look like everything somebody say is deep. No, Jada. Wasn't nothing deep about that. This woman knows that black people, black women have a degree of empathy. And people look to us for sort of like, okay, what is the real deal? They're going to cut straight through it. What is the real deal? These black sisters going to cut straight through it. And when you empathize, you give white America permission to empathize. Because if a black person can forgive anything, we can too. For what? Your mama was right. You should stop thinking for yourself sometimes. You don't owe her nothing. Well, I never want to be. This is what Jada said. What did she say? I had the exact quote somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. I want to find it because it was so stupid. I want to find it. I never want to be I never want to be the thing that was done to me by white women. Now, let me just say this. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop moralizing. You are not discriminating against a white woman by saying my show is not a venue for you to do what you're trying to do. There is nothing discriminatory about that. And all this moralizing is going to get us nowhere. Now, it'll be good for you to get views because I saw all kind of TV stations stuff picked up. It's good for that. But Jada, ain't y'all got enough money? You ain't even somebody who needs none of this. Maybe just do the right thing and just say, go somewhere else with your story. Oh, but you wanted a scoop, didn't you? For what? You ain't no reporter. Scoop for what? Millions of dollars. You still needed that. You still felt the need to, well, I have to. I can't. What? I had something else. What else? There was so many stupid things said during that interview. It's good content. But you were the doormat for a white woman, young white woman, to talk to us. What did she say? Let me bring this up. What did the child say? What did she say? She said a whole bunch of stuff about what she didn't understand and what she was scared of, child. And she said she's sorry. She said she is sorry. I wasn't able to talk about this because of the legalities. I am sorry. I never got to say I'm really sorry. I'm really, I really own. Understand that this woman is stealing. She's hoarding. You have to understand that let me just say this. Let me bring this off of what say this. You all remember the book or the article, what was it, Dream Hoarders? She's hoarding your opportunity. She's hoarding the opportunities for your child. That wasn't a discussion. Nowhere in that discussion did I see, listen, you're hoarding dreams away from our children. Our children can't get into schools because your mama is buying your way into school. And you don't even want to go to class with your little dumb self. You just want to be an influencer and tell people how to do makeup online. Don't you think that's wrong? If you're going to do the interview, make the girl run outside crying if you're going to do it that way. Don't you think that's wrong that your people have had the opportunity and are rich and are stealing opportunity from other people? Don't you think that's wrong? No. They're just going to sit there with her legs crossed. Jada, shut up. Ain't nothing deep about nothing that girl said. Willow over there. The only person with some sense is your mama. No, she don't get to be here. You cannot be the doorway or entryway through which that white woman decides that she is forgiven. That is not your job. It might be good for your media, but you got enough money. I guess you and Will still together entanglements. If you are, you got enough money. You don't have to do that. The point of having a bunch of money is that you don't have to do stuff like that no more. Do we ever stop just selling out? Or we just do everything for clicks even when we don't need it? Or do everything for attention even when we don't need it? If you don't need the money or whatever, what you do it for? Well, I just want to be a vessel. I want to be a vessel for da-da-da. Shut up. Ain't nobody no vessel. You no vessel for nothing. I ain't no vessel. I want to be a vessel for change. That girl ain't changing. She's rebranding. She ain't changed a thing. And what did she tell you? I thought everybody did this. Now, mind you, didn't it happen to her sister too? So she knew it was going on. Everything in the whole house, they was all. But I thought it was just normal. And I said my parents worked hard. Now I understand. And after I do this interview here, I'm gonna be able to move on and get on with my life and get this stuff behind me. And you Negroes at this table is gonna help me do it. Willow with your dizzy self, y'all all gonna help her do it. You are complicit in the stealing of opportunities from ADOS to white women, and you are complicit in it as a table full of black women. Y'all ought to be ashamed. Red table. Bread table. Wasn't she taking fake photos too? Wasn't she taking some fake photos? Rowing and putting her face on other people's bodies and stuff like that. You knew what you were doing. Y'all all in on the con. But hey, people view ADOS because of what we're going through as really moral people. So if Jada and her mama and them and Willow understood, then it must be right? Your job is not to bless anybody, especially people who steal. Did she get that extra time on the SAT too, or did she just get her SAT fixed? You are the entryway. You are the entryway to forgiving white women for the most duplicitous and awful stuff. And I don't believe that little girl woman, was she like 18? She's in college. You a grown woman. Don't be running around here crying. You grown. You knew what was going on. Y'all were all in on it. You were putting fake photos. Y'all probably giggling and laughing. Now you on the red table talking about, now you going, I give food to families. And one of the things that just made me so excited, because they were so excited to learn, and I realized that like I wasn't excited to learn, and da da da. And everybody listening to that like it's normal. Listen to that like this girl isn't a thief, like her family aren't thieves, and like her family, like her parents shouldn't be locked up for the rest of their life. Like you would be if you were a Negro, you locked up for a long time for less. Empathy. Child. This is too much. This is too much. I'm telling y'all this too much. This don't make no sense. Using race just for content. And that's even worse, because you use race in terms of y'all being ADOS people at the table, or black people, or whatever. I don't know what you were. I don't know nothing about Jada. What y'all being at this table, and as you don't understand what you hold, the value that you hold as the people who you are, to bless this wealthy and privileged, right? White girl who did the wrong things, and her parents did the wrong things. We don't know when to just say, screw them. What happens, happens. And didn't enough happen. You don't need nothing else. You didn't get enough as it was. Anyway, fam, let me go to the calls really quick. Let me just end it there. And, we will have the conversation, because it's just so much reckless stuff going on. Anyway, fam, let me know what y'all think about that colorless content, because people going around doing all kind of stuff and talking real good about what we gonna do, and the culture, and the people, and the uplift, and they don't mean none of it. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. We will be right back after the break. are back, and I am going straight into the calls. I am going to my first caller. I have two 216s. So I am going to 2164. 2164. I'm coming to you now. 2164. You there? You there, caller? Hello? 216.
Hello, is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, is that? I'm glad I got through. Big supporter, big fan.
Thank you.
I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing. I want to speak on the college cheating center because, young ADOS man here in Cleveland, and if I did what that girl did, Yvette, I would be in jail right now.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I would be in jail right now. And I went to college and graduated, and Yvette, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
What was the hardest
part?
part?
No money, no nothing.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest event was it was like, make a decision, like, do I pay my rent, or do I buy food, or do I pay tuition?
Wow.
I didn't have nothing, no money, no nothing. It was days where I didn't even have money to eat.
Mm. So how did you feel about this? How did you feel about, given what you went through to graduate, like making a choice between food and like rent and going to school? What did you feel about here, this little young white privileged girl on the Jada Pinkett red table?
It pissed me off, and it pissed me off even more because Jada know better. Because Yvette, I don't even know. I graduated in 2016. Mm-hmm. I can't even name nobody else that I know that's a black man that graduated college. Not one. Not one. Not black American. I'm black immigrants. Yeah, I know a bunch of them.
Yeah,
but black
ADOS.
ADOS man. No, not one. I can't name one.
Yeah, and if you try to pull that little sneaky trick off, you be under the jail. You look it up if you want to. And the thing is, they pull the rug out from up under. In terms of with incarceration and poverty. And so you be the only one, and we're crying about, instead of crying about the mass of black people, but especially black men who are warehoused in prisons, right? Even for marijuana stuff, while white people and white men especially make a bunch of money. Instead of talking about why that is, you're talking to this rich girl, but you're talking to this rich white girl because it's clicks for you. And my thing is with that is, if there's, and I feel the same way about Oprah, if there's one time where you can do something good, it's when you already have money. When you already have money, you can really create content that is good for your community and not chase like publicity in the spotlight. And it's so disappointing when people, when our people like get money and decide, no, I'm still gonna do the bullshit. But I'm gonna let you finish, fam.
Tell me about it. It pissed me off because I know, like I said, I can't name another black American man that graduated college that's the same age as me. Everybody I know is dead or in jail. And I'm only 27, Yvette.
Absolutely. Absolutely, fam.
But I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you.
I'm so hyped right now.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate you giving your perspective because I agree with you because I don't even know, like, I don't even hear from young black men who say that, like, they finished college. Like, ADOS men? No, I don't hear from young ADOS men who say, I'm a college graduate. They may be doing some other things and, working because you have to work and trying to make their life make ends meet. But I don't really hear many who say, yeah, I graduated college. It's been a long time since I talked to a young man who graduated college, a young ADOS man.
I graduated college and paid off my student loans in 3 years.
Ooh.
And I'm the only black person. And I'm the only black person I know that did that. When I graduated college, Yvette, and this is something that Tone said. When I graduated college, you know what I got when I got college?
What?
My uncle gave me $50. Everybody else I knew, they got 20, 30, 40,000. They got student loans paid off. They got houses. They got cars.
Yep.
I don't even have a car.
All
I
that.
can't even afford one.
All that work. And you know what? And you know what? People would treat you like you got a car though. That's the thing that's wrong with ADOS family we don't want to talk about. your family will treat you like they gave you a car and that they paid your student loans in terms of like how they talk and how they deal with you, and not understand that like like I'm being an individual right now because I've had to be an individual in my life, and that's how I'm responding to this situation. And people don't know how to respond to you responding to like what you had to do individually to finish what you had to finish. They don't know how to do that.
Tell me about it, Yvette. Tell me about it. I talk to my mom about this all the time. I put her on your podcast, but people don't get it, Yvette. They don't get it. Because they not reading what I'm reading. Mm-hmm. I got Shapiro book right here on my coffee table right now. Mm-hmm. They don't get it.
Go. Well, we're gonna go over a cliff if they don't get it. And you fall first. Yeah, but you exactly right, fam. I appreciate you calling in. And I agree, fam. You will be under the jail. Don't just not in the jail. You under the jail. It's just what it is. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in because I don't often.
Please keep doing it.
I will, fam. I don't often hear from your demographic. You young black man, you done finished college. You in your 20s. Ooh, I don't hear from that, so I appreciate that. And yes, you would be so locked up. Let me go right now. I'm going now to God. I had so many 216s tonight. I'm going to 2165. 2165. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what is on your mind?
Hello.
What's going on, fam? How you doing?
Hey, Vic.
Hey.
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
My name is Nija, and I'm calling from Cleveland, but I'm living in Akron. And I've been listening to you for a very long time. In fact, when you did the show and you were talking about LeBron and how he was a mutant and how we're dependent on ourselves to be
about how basketball players be tall and they're mutants.
You were talking about me. You were talking about me. I was a D1 NCAA college athlete. Mm-hmm. And that little girl that was on the Red Table Talk, I went to school with a whole slew of girls like her. Okay. And it was, I don't think it happened necessarily in the same way. Because where'd she go to school? Like USC, something like that? Like, my school was D1, but it was much smaller. And the fix is in on so many ways, especially when it comes to, like, college athletes. Because, I mean, I got into my school because I had a better than good athletic performance. I should have gone to a larger school, but larger schools weren't looking to pick up no black kids, and my scholastic performance was pretty good. Mm-hmm. But the problem is when you get into those teams, sometimes the white kids that get the full rides, they don't have to be spectacular people. They get to be like extra regular. But the trick is when they come from a family with money, because they aren't just looking at how you perform on the field or how you do in the classroom. They're also looking at your family and what they can get out of your family. If you're coming from a poor family, they're just going to be like, oh, we're going to use this kid up, and then after that, they're going to disappear. We're going to send them alumni letters to try and get donations from them. But what can we get from them? $10, $15, $20? No, we need the kids that come from the families, like the kids.
So they can keep that money coming. So they can keep that money coming.
Skills camps.
I said, so they can keep that money coming, you're saying. They want to keep it coming.
Okay. Oh, yeah. They want the kids that can afford the skills camps. They want the kids that can afford the travel teams. They want the kids that can, like, compete at a track meet, like, as an open athlete and can afford to enter themselves into that meet. Like, they can pay like a $30 fee and they can travel to wherever the meet is, and they can pay for all their equipment. Say they're a pole vaulter. Pole vault is an expensive sport. Sometimes traveling for a cross-country meet, that costs money. That costs gas. The little poor kids out in Cleveland, like we had 2 big track schools out in East Cleveland, Collinwood and Glenville. Them programs had money, but where those schools are located, those kids are poor. They don't want to deal with those poverty problems. They want them kids that live out in like Olentangy and Columbus where they got money. And it doesn't matter if they're like a disciplinary problem. They aren't going to class and they're cutting up or they're snorting coke or they're doing whatever on the campus, or passing counterfeit bills. They don't care about that because they know they got the parents that'll bail them out when they do that crazy stuff. They want those kids. They don't want to deal with no ADOS kids. And after a while, what you're seeing with the sports, when you're talking about basketball, it's happening with track. It's happening with all different types of sports. You got the immigrant kids coming in, and they're like, oh, well, these immigrant parents, you know, got to have money to come into the U.S. They got something to lose. But these black kids, these ADOS kids that are coming from the hood, they're going to get in here and cut up. We don't want to deal with that. At least give us the kids that got the parents with the money.
Cash payment.
Yeah. They trying to keep those programs going. And I ran track. So track is a poor sport. But shout out to Friday out in California because she went through the NCAA rosters with like how many black athletes are in each sport in the NCAA and how many coaches there are that are black and white and Asian. You look down those rosters for black coaches, it's football, then basketball, then track. And what you're seeing with the pandemic is they're getting rid of those track programs. And a lot of those black athletes that aren't part of football and basketball, chances are the bulk of them are coming out of track. They're getting rid of the track programs.
Wow.
So how's your, like a kid like me, if I had graduated from high school today, I probably wouldn't have been able to get a scholarship because they're getting rid of the programs. So when you're talking about opportunities are disappearing and they're using the pandemic as an excuse, it's coming for the sports too. They're only going to get the kids that can afford it.
Absolutely.
You aren't going to be the same type of mutant these days as back then. You got to be a different type of mutant. You got to be a mutant with a little bit of cash.
Yeah, you can't do it. So you just can't have that athleticism no more. And you just like, in terms of mutant, like you just grew real tall. You just sprang up like a tree. And you know, you can do it. No, that don't work no more. You got to have money now. Come from money. Ooh.
Yeah, and you got to be a scary mutant. Like, oh, this one's going to the Olympics. Or this one's going to the NBA. Because they aren't going to waste their money on you.
Wow. And you don't have nothing to waste on yourself because you ADOS. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, fam. I appreciate you calling in and giving us your experience. I'm appreciating people calling in, like giving their personal experience. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. That's something. I didn't know they was getting rid of y'all. They was getting rid of the track programs. I did not even know that. Somebody tell me if y'all knew that. Yes, I don't think people understand. This is kind of what me and Antonio have been talking about. Like, this is a cash economy now in terms of you got to pay your way because it's built on the idea that everybody who came before you paid for you. Right? They made money, and so they have something to give to you in terms of transfer, even if you don't have anything yourself. And we still sitting here with nothing because of plunder and like, well, what about us? What you mean if you don't do the politics of it? My goodness. Anyway, let me go to my next caller. I'm going to 914. 914, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Vet. It's Terrell. I'm calling from New York. I'm calling from the Bronx.
What's going on with you?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
So I have a few things. I loved your show Monday. It was so good. It really put my life into perspective in terms of like what I experienced in college. Okay. But I want to keep it on focus tonight. So, you said a few things earlier about like divesting from this type of media, especially like Vlad and Hot 97 and all the like the black media that doesn't really serve us. And I feel like with our people, you know, we see the bright lights and the flashiness and the celebrity around products that are not for us. And it's minstrelsy is what it is. It's like Jamel Hill going on there making jokes. It's Ebro, you know, he can make anti-black jokes one day and then he could be all black power the next. It's like we can't live in this schism anymore where people, you know, can play this kind of game on us and we not see the con in it. And so there was only one interview that he gave that was very important. It was the Azalea Banks interview. I don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't.
She is the only artist, and this was like a couple of years ago, who has said the word reparations on Hot 97 that I know of in recent memory, and she paid the cost for it. You know what I mean? So it's this is what I mean though. It's like we'll support people, you know, and I don't want to get into who we'll support, but we'll support people who like give us this vision of like Africa and the Pan-Africanism and, you know, the flashy and the lights and the celebrity. But the people who are actually telling us, you know, the things that are good for us and are needed for us and where our focus and our energy should be going. Hello?
No, I said we punish them. I know. No, I hear you. I said you're right. We punish the people. We punish the people who are doing that. And I don't know the specifics of it, but I heard somebody told me that she went in on the Shade Room too. And I don't know what was said, but I think somebody needs to go in on the Shade Room because I think it's a very exploitive kind of trashy tabloid thing to kind of go ahead.
Take out the Shade Room. All of these media blogs. They're owned by a recent, well, how do you say it? Like first or second generation immigrants, primarily Nigerians. And that's not a dig at Nigerians. I have a lot of supportive allies who are Nigerians. But it speaks to who we're allowing in the country, right? Because if you're coming from Nigeria, more than likely you have some kind of IT background. And so you know about algorithms, you know about what's popular on and how to drive traffic to your site. And what's going to drive the traffic to your site? Anti-blackness.
And let me tell you this,
everybody partakes in it.
Well, it speaks on who we hold accountable to, right? Because I think I don't know, but I think wasn't World Star Hip Hop owned by a black immigrant? And it's just like we don't hold people accountable of like you just, you know, I thought World Star Hip Hop was the worst thing, and it's salacious because people just go to salaciousness. Even white people do that. It's not just a black thing, but you show just fights in like the ghetto, and like with the Shade Room, like you kind of turn like this really negative celebrity lens, or even when people fail, you want to talk about it or whatever. And we don't hold people accountable and say that like, listen, you are kind of perpetuating a sort of pathologizing of ADOS in terms of how you're doing this. And people will say it. See, people won't say it like this is a problem in terms of, you know, you talk about solidarity. We can't have solidarity with people who do this and don't care how we look or how we come off in terms of, because it's not just black people on the Shade Room. You're exploiting a community in a very easy way. And so if you want solidarity, this is the kind of thing that won't happen. We don't hold people accountable for the cost of solidarity. Solidarity ain't free, baby, and it don't come cheap. But it has for us. It has, hasn't it? And that's a problem. But go ahead, Carl. I'm going to let you finish.
It's a real problem. Everything you said is true. It's a real problem. And we have to define and redefine and keep defining, which is why your show is so important, because we hold these people accountable. We know what you said. We know when you said it. The Youssef Hawking thing happened under a relative of mine who recently passed, David Dinkins. He was the mayor of New York City when that happened. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, like, it's just crazy to me that our memory, and see, this is the thing that I'm hinting at, really, is like we don't have institutional memory.
Say that again. Wait a minute. We don't have institutional memory. Say that again.
What you say?
I said, say that again. We don't have institutional memories. That's important.
Institutional memory. We have a bunch of charlatans who can come on and say Kemet one day, and then, yeah, I don't do that Africa stuff no more. It's everywhere, you know. And so when we get shows like Lovecraft Country, which is another show that I hate, that kind of conflates our history into a moment and doesn't really do the material work of why that was necessary, or ask the questions about, okay, so what now? What are we doing now to make good on the history? It's like we're everywhere. We're so scattered. But that's all I want to say. Is that
thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. And I do think we punish people because some people can say stuff and they say, because what happens with some people, they say some good stuff and some wrong stuff, and so if you give people 80 good beans and 20 bad beans, then they say all the beans is bad. No, wait a minute, some of them beans was good and you owe me for the good beans. You can't just do that. I got some good lima beans in here and some good pintos and black eyed pea. You can't just say all the beans is bad. But that's what we'll do to people. If they say one wrong thing, it's like, oh, they're awful. Nah. So I think I don't know the whole thing Azalea Banks said, but I do think that sort of framework where there's no accountability and it's just sort of a trash blog and you just expose like the worst sides because that's the most salacious, is not accountable and is not respectful to the community that you serve, and you know, as a black immigrant, that's very problematic. It would be problematic if you were ADOS, but it's extremely problematic if you want solidarity. So let me go to the next call. I am going right now to 860. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. This
Hey.
is Alicia calling from Hartford.
Hey, how you doing?
I haven't called in a while. I'm well.
Good.
I just have one statement and
Okay.
one question.
Good.
So
That's
I'm going
fine.
to start off with a question because it's very easy. I saw that you're going to be doing something at Yale. Is it going to be a Zoom meeting or is it going to be like, are you physically going to Yale?
No, I'm not going. It's the COVID. I'm not going nowhere. It's COVID. Ain't no vaccine or nothing yet, and
Okay.
sketchy, and that's still sketchy. So no, I'm not going. I'll be on Zoom.
So is it open to the public or? Is
Well,
it
they're
only
gonna
for
put
Yale
it. They're
students?
gonna put it up on their website after the fact.
Okay. I'm excited for that. I'll definitely be watching
Appreciate
that.
it.
I plan on getting my PhD there one day.
Oh, okay.
Because I live in Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah,
And I would
I'll
love
put
to,
it.
like,
I'll
talk to you
tweet it or
offline
whatever
also
when it's
about,
out.
like New England schools and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
And so the second thing I have to say is a statement in regards to Jada Pinkett Smith and her very, very, very disrespectful and, in my humble opinion, atrocious Red Table Talk. So I watched it twice. And I watched it twice early this morning because God told me to wake up at 7. I'm not really a morning person, but I watched it twice.
Okay.
The first time I watched it with pretending that I was just being a feminist. And then the second time I watched it with my Adolf eyes. And what I saw, which made my blood boil, was the simple fact that Jada Pinkett Smith set up her Red Table Talk in her home that Will Smith built for her from scratch. She set her table up for her daughter to be a mammy to this white little girl.
Ooh. Oh my.
And she did not allow for Gammy to fully go there and like teach Willow how to be a warrior or a warrioress in regards to talking to these white women when they feel frail and when they feel like they need redemption from black women. Jada just kept being like, oh, no, Ma, okay, Jam, I see what you're saying. And she literally set up for her daughter to be okay with being a mammy, being okay with wiping the white woman's tears, being okay with making her milk, being okay with this white woman saying, this white little girl, young woman, saying that, I didn't know, I'm oblivious. And the fact that Jada compared her kids to that little Olivia chick, I was like, what?
She was like, well, I know I've made decisions for my kids that haven't been right. Yep.
Like, how dare you do that? You're disrespectful to your daughter. And disrespectful to yourself. And I don't really like Jada, but I was trying to like this Red Table Talk so that I can be like, okay, let me see what this is going. But what I see Jada becoming, she wants to be Oprah. Because Oprah is irrelevant right now, and Jada is younger or whatever, and she wants to be the next Oprah with this multi-generational, like, table talk, which that episode was very, very, very hateful. And you know what else? And this is my last thing that I would say. The reason why I say and I think that episode was very hateful is because Jada didn't even invite Janet Herbert to come on that Red Table Talk to talk about how it is to be black women in this white industry called Hollywood. But you let this white young woman come on this table and talk to you any old kind of way that she gets it. She hasn't read a book. They're not even in school anymore. She dropped out or whatever, not going to school anymore. And no one even stressed the fact that her mama got 2 months.
Yeah.
While black folk get years.
No.
And yeah, she's okay. Yeah, she's safe. Yeah, she feels like everything's going to be all right because her mama getting 2 months. Like, come on.
And everything is going to be all right for her.
Janet be on that red table after 30 years of having a feud with the family and Will Smith pulling it upon himself, I guess, to be open and Janet is now forgiving. But isn't your show about healing, Jada? Isn't your show about reconciliation, Jada? And you didn't let Janet be on that for healing in regards to your family? Because she made Will Smith with that show. But you want to talk to this little girl and redeem her and help her rebrand herself. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you at Yale. And
thank you. Night. I'll post it on probably Twitter or something. So appreciate it, fam. Thank you. Let me go to my next caller. I am going to I'm going to 267. 267, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hey, fam, what's going on?
Hey, Yvette, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing well. I cannot complain.
I love watching your shows and I love listening to your shows. I'm so excited right now.
Okay. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you all too. You and Tony and the whole 8 Hours movement.
Absolutely.
Can I say something? Oh, well, first let me say my name is Philippe and I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Let me say something to what the previous caller was trying to get at with Jada. In my opinion, I kind of think, how do I say it? I kind of think the whole premise of why Jada had that conversation with that little girl is because Jada and possibly Will kind of feel like, in a way, with them being financially well off, they put their children in positions that their children kind of didn't deserve to be in. And so Jada might feel a certain degree of guilt, but Jada doesn't realize that the guilt she holds and possesses is class-based, whereas when you take into consideration what Lori did for her kids, it's a class element there, but how did she get that wealth? How did she and her people, for so long, for so many generations, accrue wealth that they could constantly not only pass down to their descendants, but also use to put their children in positions that they don't belong in? Like, I don't know if Jada didn't realize, but her class guilt is so fundamentally different from the type of class guilt that what is her name, Lori Loughlin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guilt that Lori Loughlin should have felt. It's a different situation. I don't think Jada even realized it.
Mm-hmm.
So that I don't understand why. I think, in my opinion, that's kind of why Jada did it, but I don't think Jada realized that she's in a different position. And then also, she's trying to, like the previous caller said, she's trying to put herself in a certain position to, I guess, become a thing. I'm not a big fan of the whole Red Table Talk because I don't really. I haven't watched it. Jada Pinkett Smith to be doing. I don't even know what it's about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. Is she a? You're not a therapist, and that's not to discredit somebody's, lived experience in their opinion, but it's just like an opinion-based show with 3 different people from one family constantly sharing their opinions. I don't see what is so groundbreaking or revolutionary about the show.
Well, I think Jada is an engaging person. I can't speak enough about the show. I just think when you have those talents and you have money, I think she's engaging and I think she's talented. I think when you have that and you have money though, that you can do something good for your people. I think that's you can be free to do something good.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that, and like the whole topic of the show tonight, and with the varying shows and the different people that you're talking about. In my opinion, I feel like a certain level of performative blackness goes into people's perceptions of like what we as Black American people should kind of be paying attention to, because I'm not a fan of Red Table Talk. I don't watch Ebro. I don't care for anything that Charlamagne the God says out of his mouth. But I feel like the premise of this is kind of like Black Americans not really feeling like we don't have a culture outside of what is the socially constructed hood culture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain. I don't know if I have the language to explain.
Well, that's kind of the. Well, isn't that kind of the only acceptable? But isn't that kind of the only acceptable culture now, fam? In the sense of like what you say in terms of that kind of culture that is kind of not even dictated to us from like our own neighborhoods anymore. Whatever, it's kind of fed back to us through these media prisms. You don't know what's going on if you're not in there in the ghetto or wherever you at, but you have something that's fed back to you through this media prism, through kind of like white or non, you know, or eyes or eyes that like pathologize ADOS, just whatever the case may be.
I agree 100%. I had a conversation with a young Black guy the other day. He told me the fullness of Black American culture is hood culture. I'm like, how does that even make sense? We've been here in this country before any modern day inner city neighborhood, which is what people like, you know, quantify, I guess, the hood. Like we were here in this country before that. The premise of our culture isn't rooted in that. It's like when people talk about how Black American cuisine or what people call soul food is slave food, and just speak really just speak in a really disrespectful way about it, or they kind of just brush it aside and say that, oh, that's just fake food and it's processed food. It's like, first of all, enslaved people were not eating that well. They just weren't. That doesn't make any sense. It's like, I think it's disrespectful to speak of your ancestors in such a horrible way.
Well, look at pictures of them. Look at pictures of like, not slaves. I'm talking about like, look at pictures of sharecroppers. They were bone thin. Like they weren't getting enough nutrition. What do you mean?
I don't know why so many of us think enslaved people or sharecroppers and people who lived through that period, all of our ancestors, I don't know why these people think that they were sitting around every day of their life eating fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, and candied yams.
Yeah, and let me just say this. And let me just say this before I let you go, fam. Let me just say this one last thing. Like America has a bad food culture. Like it's unfair to put that on ADOS. You know, I don't hear anybody says, like, even when you talk about Italian food, it's rich in cheeses and creams and stuff, and nobody says, oh my God, you eat slave food. No, this is fat food that will clog your arteries and all that kind of stuff too. Why y'all ain't talking about that? We're not gonna have a conversation about that?
Exactly. I think the whole reason why all of these people become images and faces and voices for so many of us in this community is because of the media, and then so many of us, sadly, just allowing for the media to dictate our identity as Black Americans.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. That's a good point to end on, but I think the media does kind of dictate that, and they kind of dictate what is cool. So even in terms of hip-hop, we don't get a lot of hip-hop other than the kind of hip-hop that they want to feed back to us. The hip-hop runs the gamut. So why is the hip-hop that you only kind of feed back that kind of hood hip hop? And I'm not saying, I'm not even going to have a debate right now of what is and what is not. But I'm saying if hip hop runs the gamut, why are we just getting one sect of it? If it's not intentional, in some kind of way to kind of recreate the conditions that exist in that hood, those dysfunctional conditions that were created by white supremacy and white racism, and that were put into the music, it's intended to kind of recreate that, and not only recreate it, but to popularize it in a way that that impacts us negatively. So even when you express yourself, they kind of just hone in on one part of it and say this is cool, other than saying like, no, this is something that this person had to do because America's racist. No. So you go do it too. I don't think people understand how diabolic like white supremacy is, especially in America. But let me just go on to the next call. I'm going to 216. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, Yvette. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you for everything that you do. I wanted to comment on the Red Table Talk conversation as well. So I was disgusted by it overall. Jada confirms my belief that most Black people, whether ADOS or not, from higher income groups, are not my ally.
Ooh.
So similar to some of the other callers, the fact that she compared her kids to the woman who was on the program, left me with a few questions. Does this mean that she personally lies and cheats on behalf of her kids at the expense of ADOS from lower income groups? Or has, she totally dismantled any ties that she had with the Black community? So for context, I'm in a PhD program currently, and academia selects for students from higher income groups. And I've learned the hard way that, generally speaking, non-ADOS are not our allies. And that would be people from Africa, the West Indies.
How did you learn it? What did they do?
ADOS, who I just feel like they aren't my allies.
But did something happen? Did something happen, or what made you think that this is not my ally?
Oh, it's similar to everything that you conveyed in previous episodes. So I've heard negative comments about ADOS students. So first of all, there's just not a lot of us, which should not be a surprise in STEM. And so when you get into these Black graduate student associate groups, I feel like people get more comfortable and relaxed because it's mostly them. And so you kind of overhear some things. And so there are comments about how ADOS don't work, or how a certain student who, I would happen to know with ADOS isn't pulling their load, and that's why they're having problems when they, may have shared something with other people to try to get support, garner support, because that's what those environments should be for. And I feel like the black ADOS who are from higher income groups will co-sign whatever they say, and I see things very differently. So it's a series of things that I've heard over time. It's based on conversations that I've had with people on Twitter. So just back to the original point, I just feel like Jada is just one of those people. And I don't know if you have experiences with that with ADOS from higher income groups, but I just don't trust them. Very
I think it was Ironman who said that people at the higher income group are your class enemies. And so we may be racially intertwined, but once you get to that class, you define yourself by that class, and you kind of acculturate to that class, and you are no longer tied or tethered to me in terms of who we are as groups. So we're no longer allies because you've made it, and you are now my class enemy. You don't want high taxes. You have to keep certain relationships. And I have not as of yet seen anybody not a lot of people really try to defy that rule. When you get wealthy, that's the time when you absolutely can do that. I just haven't seen it. And that's why I said, even it's not enough to have affirmative action be for ADOS. You have to have an economic calculation in there as well. If not, all you will have is the perpetuation of upper class boule ADOS in schools, and it still won't pull up the ADOS kids from the bottom, lower middle class, or whatever. It would just pull up the upper class and perpetuate that upper class and give them a funnel into schools, but won't benefit the rest of us if you don't have some kind of economic metric in that. But I agree with you. I don't see a lot of it either.
So it's interesting that you brought that point. So the NIH funds or provides, it kind of takes taxpayer money and funnels it into labs. And so that's how publicly funded research works. So they have certain mechanisms that are supposed to help with diversity. That's what they call it. And they've expanded that definition now to include people from lower income groups, but that includes lower income white people. So that just blows my mind because to me that means that you expect me to compete with them now, right now after they've already benefited to a certain extent, just because they're white, they know how to navigate this culture, and they are not assumed when people look at them to not be a cultural fit. Essentially,
yeah. That's why diversity is a whole con. I don't know if y'all, diversity is a whole con, because diversity means everybody except well-to-do white men. Apparently it used to just mean everybody except white men, but apparently based on what you're saying, it means everybody except well-to-do white men. So everybody is shoehorned in on what was supposed to be something to benefit only ADOS. Something got to be done about that. If you want to talk about what has to be done, something got to be done about that. That is a problem.
I agree, and there's nothing I can do on an individual level at this point. I'm just kind of done with academia. I just kind of want to get this free PhD and just go and funnel my efforts in other places.
Absolutely.
But I also wanted to comment about, just really quickly, it's just weird to me that white women come to black women for understanding, and this is something I've experienced on Twitter. And so sometimes, like, I've overall had a positive experience on Twitter. It's been a great way for me to, find a few other ADOS from lower income groups who are out there and to get advice on certain things or just share my perspective. And it's weird to me when I put in a post specifically that, like, I'm interested in a black perspective, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's all I want to hear from. It's interesting to me that non-black people, mostly white women, feel the need to, like, respond and share an experience that's similar but not related to race. And what grinds my gears even more is the DM conversations that I have with them. Because they play the world's smallest violin, and I feel like I'm put in a position to, like, be their shoulder to cry on. And that's not, like, if I clearly indicate that this is a racial situation, and most times for me it's lineage-based, I'm not here to be your support system, and I don't necessarily, I've never come off as somebody's mammy online, so that's what confuses me too. Like, I feel like I come across as, like, people view me as an angry black woman, like I'm a scary black, and I'm glad they think that because they don't say things to my face necessarily. But it's just weird to me that in those spaces on Twitter, white women come to me as like their mammy. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about the issue. Thank you for taking my call.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, fam. Thank you so much. And let me just say something. They come to you as the mammy because somebody else done played that role. They didn't come to you because no. They done had you. Wait a minute. When I knew Sarah, she was my. You don't want to do it. You don't want to. That's what I. Normally black women be to me. So somebody else done played that role. We gotta stop playing all these wild roles to people. Anyway, fam. Let me go to 202. 202. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, my name's Felicia. I'm calling from Ados, DMV.
Hey, Felicia.
And I just wanted to comment about the Red Table Talk.
Okay.
And as well as about the uncomfortable talk of vaccine.
Okay.
As far as the Red Table goes, I think that Jada is cursed with that mentality of a mammy who gives her breast milk to the white child versus her own child. And it's a mentality that's been carried on so long that I think they forgot what it looks like until today. And it's so scary to see these women sit around and actually pat the main woman who stole the very thing that kept our ancestors alive from us, which is breast milk. And I just feel like you couldn't even look back into your past and have respect enough to respect your ancestors to not welcome that into a table or a space that belongs to us. I just feel disrespected by that. And I wanted to know, like, how does she think she's going to come back from this?
She don't have to come back. She fine. So that's the thing we don't understand. She fine.
And then the whole point is, like, how does she think we feel about this? And does she even really care?
Well, we don't. See, the thing is, and this is why I don't give Jada all the blame. We don't really express any kind of rejection to anybody about anything that they do. Like, there was no kind of full-throated kind of say, "Hey, we disagree with this." And I don't think of Jada as an awful person or anything like that. But I think she is a member of a certain class, and I think if you want people to behave a certain way, there have to be consequences. Even if the consequences saying, "Hey, you did this wrong," right? This isn't the right way to do this.
Yes.
It's not a matter of just like I'm not trying to damn Jada or anybody else, but like this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is you.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
You didn't wait. Let me just say one more thing. The problem with Jada's thing is that you didn't give any of this context. If you were going to invite the white girl on, you should have invited some black people on who had gone to jail for the same thing. Now that would have been engaging content to have her face those people and have her face the inequity of America face to face. That is a good show. What you did not do was that. What you did was coddle this woman, this white woman. And that is the problem. That is the problem. The problem is, to me, is not just doing the show. The problem is the context, and that's what Jada's mother was hinting at when she was talking about the problem. She didn't get right to it, but that's what she was trying to say. And I'm gonna let you finish up.
Yeah, so it's like it's this mentality that is just unshakable with them. Like, I must comfort this woman to keep my place in society. When that's not the power that you had. You had the power of Harriet. You had the power of Pranny. You have the power of Rosa in you. You have the power of every black leader, so long as you are a black woman, to use your platform to elevate us. And I just feel like, well, she doesn't speak for me anymore, and I hope her career survives. That's it.
Oh, it'll be, her career will be fine.
With it. I got to wash my hands with it. From the Tupac thing, from her daughter writing a letter to Tupac saying he missed her.
Well, that's just weird. They just, Hollywood's a weird place. They just weird like that up there.
Too much.
Yeah. What?
Hello?
I'm here, Carla. I was just letting you finish up. I'll give you 30 seconds real quick.
Oh, okay. And it's just like, it just was really, how can I say, damning to see somebody just like stand in front of the fan like that instead of beside it or behind it. It was really sickening.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. I think so too, but I think we always like to talk about people without kind of demanding what we should be demanding of certain people, right? Because I'm not a regular watcher of the show. I know I've never seen an entire Red Table Talk. I couldn't even get through this one, and I was trying to say, I was like, goodness gracious, child. All these little fragile white tears and all this stuff, and it's just, I don't care, and I don't even care what you learn, but it would have been good to contextualize her experience. And it would have been damning, I think, for people who watch that show to be able to see how ADOS, and specifically ADOS women, have gotten treated when they try to send their kids to different schools. And that's not even like cheating. That's just trying to get what America has promised us anyway. America promised us education and fairness under the law. And so you try to get that another way because America has not fulfilled its promise to us, and you get locked up. But this woman and her mother, you were complicit in it. I don't care what you say. The evidence shows itself, and your parents were complicit in it, and they gonna do a little bit of time in jail and go back and hit their lives right on. I think it could have been a profound show, and I think it was a dodge. And I think that's just not good enough. Now, if you all want to continue watching, that's on you. But it's just not something I would do. I want to go to 832. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Carrie. Hi, Eva. It's Carrie from Orlando. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Again, this is my second time calling. I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Right. I just wanted to make a couple of points because I got to work in the morning. But so the Red Table Talk, like it don't make any sense. Like, make it make sense. For giving this little girl a platform to rebrand herself.
But once she a grown woman,
her story doesn't make any. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, once she a grown woman, we gotta stop. I know we say little girl, but when she grown, she was in college when she grown. You gonna be a whole grown woman to me. But go on, fam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure. She's gonna be all right. She's like hermetically sealed in white privilege and money. Her father is worth a few $100 million. She is gonna be all right.
Absolutely.
And with her story, like her mother wanted her to go to college. The actress who never went to college. Her father, who was supposed to be going to college, took his college tuition and started a business. Which became a successful business, but he never finished college. and she said she didn't want to go to college, and they're forced her to go to college. For what reason? She already had a career and money. So, like, the whole story doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
A career and money.
And then, it doesn't. It's a stupid story. And and the other thing I just wanted to comment on, just like the younger brother that came on was saying how hard it was to get through college, and it was a struggle for me, because my family they had good government jobs, but they had like 5 kids, so it's like get free money wherever you can, and college was just so eye opening for me. First of all, of course it was a mostly white school in a mostly white town. So when I got there, I'm like, I need to find black people, and so I joined the black organization that was available. There were a few ADOS students, but the majority, and I graduated like in the early 2000s, so I'm like close to your generation. And but at that time, still, the majority of black students were children of immigrants, you know, from all over the Caribbean, Africa, and it was an experience for me because, you know, I already grew up around ADOS, and I didn't know exactly how the immigrant community felt about us as Black Americans. I was able to befriend some of the immigrant students. You know, and my best friend's name was Namdi. He was like one of 4 Namdis at school, and I remember one time I went to on Christmas break. He invited me to go spend time with his family. And I thought it was cool. You know, it was a way I could spend time with them. But I had never felt so much animosity because once they found out I was ADOS, it was pure disdain. And I could not really at the time process what it was about. I just know that they were making comments. And I'm like, what is that? You know, I was clueless because I grew up around ADOS and not really immigrants. So it was this hostility that I just couldn't understand that they were giving me. I came to understand later is that it's this whole disconnect between immigrants and ADOS, how they navigate around us, what they're told about us, about staying away from us and things like that. And it was just eye-opening. I just didn't know what it was because of, you know, I just didn't know.
Well, how did they treat you, though? They were just talking behind your back? Or what? How did they treat you, though? They just talking behind your back or snarling? Or what?
Well, they were asking different questions. Like, you know, I was you know, I believe I heard your mom asked, you know, what does your mom do for a living? Is it like a maid work or anything like that? I was like, no, my mom's a CPA. What are you talking about? You know?
Maid work. Lord of mercy.
Yeah, and so it was just eye opening, and I just wanted to share that. But yeah, and I'm still paid off my student loans. I don't really care. I mean, I'll probably die with them, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
It is what it is. Yeah. Until we fix this whole thing, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. We're gonna be stuck with all kind of debt and burdens until we have a black agenda with reparations as the heartbeat. So yeah, I get you, fam.
Yeah, that's all I want to share.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think like what right are you judging anybody? What right do you ask? I don't care what his mom did for a living. Like, what are you talking about? See, this is the crossroads in terms of how we have solidarity of any kind. What are you talking about? Like his family like paved the way. Like for you to be here, you don't get to like grill him about questions because he's visiting your friend or whatever. I mean your son or whatever. This is some ridiculous stuff we've got. This is quite a mess we're in. Anyway, I'm going to 901. What is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, my name is Lorraine. I'm calling from San Francisco, California.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
And I just want to call about the red top table. I happen to view in. I don't really watch it, but I happen to kind of streamed on my Facebook page today. I was so pissed off by bringing her butt on there. I said, why are you giving this woman a platform? Why? Why do we have to give her a platform? What's the point? I could not get it. I was because I had been watching this progress. So, you know, when it came on, because first of all, I went back to college at 53, graduated, and what that did to me was able for me to navigate my kids through college, which they all got through. Now my daughter is trying to get into an advanced degree and can't get into any classes because her grades are 100 for this and this. And when I see somebody like this, they already at the top of the line. Whatever college they go to, when they come out, they already at the top of the, oh, you want this job, you want this job. You're already at the top of the damn line. Why do you have to, I'm sorry, forgive me, but why do you have to always feel like you got to get on the other top of the line? And then in her mind, I don't understand why Jada allowed that platform from. And I knew where her mother was coming from. I knew where Granny was coming from. She doesn't have any issues. Put somebody like my daughter online. Let's talk about real issues that our black kids are going through. She's sitting there with all her little fancy clothes, fancy makeup. I had this. Everybody around me was doing this. This was the norm. I'm in my bubble. You still in the bubble, girl? She's still in the bubble. She don't have to be out that bubble. You are in the bubble. You will stay in the bubble because this is your life. So I don't understand why Jada gave her that.
We have so many other kids that really need to be on the spotlight and see what they're going through. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, she going back. Her, you heard her and my sister. We got an apartment. Where they apartment at? I wonder where the heck they apartment. They have a job? They have any of that? No, they don't have to have a job. Okay, they don't need any of that. This stuff will blow over, and they're going to be back on doing what they do. So I was so frustrated because I am so academically inclined in later in life and trying to navigate through this system financially. Mm-hmm. You have 3 kids in college. You got, I'm self-employed. Okay, I grew up in the inner cities of San Francisco, the whole gamut. Okay, the whole thing, and I'm not hating on that. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, because I'm proud that I had, to work through this process. But then to see this happen, where these kids are all paying to get in these schools, where they're already on top of it. They're already on the top. They don't need to be at these schools. They can be at any college and going to be at the top of the line when it comes to getting a job. And I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear Jada's daughter say anything. I watched it, and the reason why I don't think she said anything because she already knows she's part of that bubble too. Because I don't think she's not. She may be an African American bubble, but she's in that bubble. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't see her add anything to the story.
Child, they'll be hanging out soon.
That kind of alarmed me. You know what I mean?
They'll be hanging out soon. But I think what we miss is like stories. Instances like this give Jada a way to maintain her proximity to white money, right, and white wealth. So in turning this down, you are putting yourself in a position where you might be in opposition to white people who need, black faces to kind of, or space to kind of redeem them, right? And so she wants to maintain her proximity in terms of her projects or in terms of Will's projects. And, with a lot of these people, it's still about continued opportunities. It's never enough. You never have enough money. I still want to do things. I still want to go places. It's not like, well, I've had my time, so let me do the right thing. You still want to maintain your proximity to white wealth and white power. And I think doing interviews like that help you do that because you get to redeem people. That's your currency in that environment. You don't have more money than them, but you can bring them on and redeem them as a black person and say, oh, I feel your pain. And then that kind of covers them, right? And so I think that's what that was.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's always the case. Just like when Snoop Dogg said something about, he had to go apologize. He had to go this. Everybody got to apologize. Everybody got to come correct with them every single step of the way. We always got to be under their tail all the time. And I'm just so frustrated because at what point do we say we've had enough? Okay? What point do we come up and say, okay, I can't deal with this anymore? Okay, I've had enough. I can't keep running behind them. If we don't have the people like in her positions and power, we'll never be able to come. We'll never be able to come out of this.
I agree.
Because I struggle with my kids all the time, and by the grace of God, I got a black man that I've been married for 30 years. So we fight for our kids. We fight for everything we have. Every step of the way is always a fight. And then when you come and see this come across, I just can't understand it. And like I said, I'll never be able to say, okay, if I ever get in a position, I'm going to try to bring up somebody. I'm going to try to, that's what I do all the time. Mm-hmm. That's what I do all the time. I'm always trying to help because at the end of the day, when I learned about college, it ain't about getting in college. It's about staying in college. Mm-hmm. And these kids, okay, now we in college. How you going to stay? How you going to navigate through these classes? How you going to learn that? That's a whole nother area. Okay, it's not just about taking 4 classes. These advisors ain't worth nothing. They don't teach anything. They just get that money and they move on. Mm-mm. But it's navigating. So it's not like, okay, now you're off. No, now we got the next step. Now we got to figure out how to stay in and be on track.
Absolutely.
And I think, and like I said, once again, when I saw that whole thing about all these kids and paying for people to just go ahead, okay, you got the money, we're going to get you in this school, we're going to get you in this school. And you know what? What I don't understand, why do we have to kiss up to all these Ivy so-called league colleges anyway? Also, so if you came out of Yale, now you the SHIT. How about if we come out of enough? How come if we come out of HBCU? How come we can't be the SHIT? How come they always got to define what's the top? Why always got to define what's the top?
All right.
I don't get that.
I'm sorry.
No,
you're right, though. You're right. You on point. You ain't said nothing wrong. You passionate about it, and I agree with you. So I want to thank you for calling in. I sure do appreciate you.
All right. Sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine, fam. I understand. No, appreciate it. Thank you, fam. But you're fine. I understand the indignation and outrage over this. Some bull. I'm going to another call. I'm going to 347 real quick. 347. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Wow, you got me? Okay. Hi, Yvette.
What's up? What's going on?
I just wanted to share something with you. When I was younger, I asked my grandmother about being in the South, because she had come up from the South and she had a bad experience and I didn't really know it. And I asked her, what was that about? And I even asked her, do you have any slave ancestors? I'm descended from slaves. And she never talked about that. As a matter of fact, I think when I used the word slave, it sort of shut her down. Mm-hmm. And for years, there was a certain spirit that just got killed in her that never really rose up again. Mm-hmm. And I realized years and years later that was the secret to all of our problems. And when a few weeks ago, because I've only been around this whole ADOS experience for about a month, and when I first came onto it, I realized that you had discovered the key to all of our missing reality. Slavery, emancipation, and reparations are the three words that never get said in the American lexicon. And when you kept that going, as long as you did before I heard it, mm-hmm. Once I heard it, it triggered me, it activated me, it changed me. And I was waiting for that for more than 30 years. Because when I shut her down by asking her about slavery and asking her about my ancestry and all of that, it stopped everything that I thought I would look for in success. I stopped looking for it in college. I stopped looking for it everywhere. I stopped looking for it in employment. I stopped looking for money. I stopped looking because I didn't think that anything could make a difference to me, because I wouldn't be free if I didn't understand what that meant about slavery and how it connected me. And you made that happen. And I heard, when I hear Tone and I hear you're telling us that we should not only be proud of what it is, but we have a right to something more. Because by law, they dumped us and they chucked us away like used cargo off a ship. And they keep doing that generation after generation. So I just called to say thank you.
You're welcome, fam. Thank you. I appreciate your call. Thank you, fam. Thank you. And that's a powerful call. I want to thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I think that's where we are. This is kind of a reckoning. We're at the moment where we understand our contribution, we understand our oppression, and we understand what's owed. That's just what it is. I thought, you know who I thought he was? I thought he was that. Y'all remember that guy who called in and said, "Do you have a question for me?" I thought that was him. I said, "Lord have mercy. I hope this man ain't calling and ask me if I got another question for him." Anyway, fam, that is the last call of the evening. I want to thank everybody who called in. We had some powerful calls tonight, and I appreciate it. I also want everybody to just please hit that like button. Please share. Do all of that good stuff. Please do that. Please like. Please share. If you want to donate brown.com or $breakingbrown or patreon.com/ycarnell. All of that good stuff. But understand that hitting that like button right now costs you nothing. Understand that if you have not subscribed to the channel, that costs you nothing. And if you just check to make sure you're getting notifications, hit that bell to make sure, or check your bell to make sure you get notifications. It costs you absolutely nothing. So family, please finish your libations and get to bed and take care of yourself. And don't let nobody bother you. And don't bother nobody. Stay out of everybody's business. That's too much. You're doing too much. You're moving around too much. You're being way too busy and worrisome, some of y'all. But anyway, fam, it's all seriousness. Please take care of yourself. We will talk again next time.